Is your memory full? Z is equal to sigma plus j omega. Z is equal to sigma plus j omega. I again repeat that we are only having the two identities to be noted down. Number one is that e raised to j omega is equal to cos omega plus or omega t, right? Or not even that omega t like that. We can have in general e raised to j theta is equal to cos theta plus j sin theta. This provides me a compact formula which we should believe for quite some time, and later on we can analyze what exactly happens in indexing and how to index by a complex number or by an imaginary number. And another thing is that we should keep it in mind that j square is equal to -1. J square is equal to -1, wherein it is possible by multiplying imaginary part by imaginary part we end up with real part. That's all. So these are sigma and j omega are to be considered to be two dimensions. Like this. It's all right? Then. So we are transforming a function of an integer index xn into a function of a continuous variable xz, and the variable is z. So z can occupy its z is an ordered pair. I again repeat, z is an ordered pair, right? So when z is an ordered pair, what do we get is that it can find itself in a plane. It can find itself in a plane. Like this. This is said to be real axis, this is said to be imaginary axis. And Z can position itself in a plane. Here. It is not possible to have a plot of xz versus z in a conventional manner because xz is also two-dimensional. Therefore, we can have plot z and xz, and we can have mapping where it maps into. So, a particular sequence xn transforms itself into a particular function xz, and it is invertible. So, knowing sequence I can find out function, knowing function I can find out what sequence is there from which this function has emerged. Right? So, transform means an alternative form of representation. In education system, especially in professional education system, what happens to be the fact is that the meaning of transform is not known, even though one is very master at finding out transform, inverse transform, all these things. I again repeat, transform is alternative representation. So n leading to xn is one way of representation of the sequence. So xz is an alternative representation of xn. We are now gathering information. How exactly xz is useful in some applications, that will come later. But at this moment of time, we are now able to interrelate, to transform from one to the another and vice versa, and study their properties and have some manipulations on these transforms. Is it clear? So Z is two-dimensional. So this is as regards to module number 6 of the syllabus. Now we come to module number 5 in an interesting manner. So what we are having? We are having the Z transform. Means Z is having entire Z plane to wander around. So xz is a function of z, means given any z, it leads to some xz by a formula. Only thing is that the z should be in the region of conversion. Now, why exactly it has been chosen, that will be known later, but there is some specific application of a concept called as unit circle. A concept called as unit circle is having a special application. So what does this mean by unit circle? In the Z plane, the region or the contour of the points which are at a unit distance from origin. Unit circle is a contour of the points which are at unit distance from origin. Which are at unit distance from origin. Right? So as we have stated that it is possible to represent Z either by real part or imaginary part. Real axis sigma, imaginary axis j omega. Or otherwise, there is an alternative representation. That alternative representation is Cartesian form. This is Cartesian form representation. There is alternative representation. That alternative representation can be said to be polar form, wherein we can have r and theta. Where we can have r and theta. Means I can represent a two-dimensional number by using an ordered pair of real part and imaginary part, or the same I can represent by having a concept of, suppose if we are, I will just revise this in few minutes. So you are given a complex number a plus jb or a two-dimensional number a plus jb, which is fully and uniquely represented by a set of two real numbers a and b. Right? Then it can be alternatively represented as, what can we do is like also r e raised to j theta. It can be represented as r is raised to, how? We simply have e raised to j theta cos theta plus j sin theta. So it becomes r cos theta plus j into r sin theta. Then knowing these two, if these two are to be equal, this must have r cos theta equal to a and r sin theta should be equal to b, and from that you can have a simple identity. What is the identity? That r is equal to under root a square plus b square and theta is equal to tan inverse of b upon a. Theta is equal to tan inverse of b upon a. Is it clear? So any point in a complex plane or a two-dimensional plane or a z-plane for that matter is represented by a set of two numbers, right? Either a and b, that is the x component and y component, or r and theta, So if we now concentrate on this form where z is equal to r e raised to j theta, z is equal to r e raised to j theta, right? Z is equal to r e raised to j theta. In such situation, then still I am liberty to represent all the points. When I was using this representation, a constant a was giving me what? A constant a and variable b was giving me a line parallel to imaginary axis. A constant b and variable a was giving me a horizontal line. 0 a and variable b was giving me imaginary axis. 0 b and variable a was giving me real axis. Now, in r e raised to j theta form, constant theta variable r will give me a line passing through origin. a constant r variable theta will give me a circle with center at origin. And to further specialize, a constant r equal to 1 will give me a unit circle. A constant r with r equal to 1 will give me a unit circle. So, if I decide to have restriction on z, right now it is complete. Now, if I decide to restrict z on unit circle, what can I say? Xz with mod z equal to 1 means the distance, or r equal to 1. R equal to 1. Is it clear now? Is it clear? So I can evaluate the Z transform on unit circle. I can evaluate Z transform on unit circle. So evaluation of Z transform on unit circle is some special thing, and it provides me much significant and meaningful information. It provides me much significant and meaningful information. So let us start and take a very simple computation. Obviously, this computation would be possible if and only if unit circle happens to be part of ROC. If unit circle doesn't happen to be part of region of convergence, then that transform cannot be computed in this manner. So the restriction is obviously that unit circle must be in ROC. So unit circle has a peculiar property. If, let us presume that if it is there in ROC, if unit circle is there in ROC, what is going to happen? We can compute, and rather than again telling you what are its applications, you are getting biased to think in that direction. Therefore, we will not tell at the beginning. We hope that you will explore all faculties of your thinking in order to find out what the applications could be, and we shall explain them after some time, maintaining your curiosity live, hoping that it is still alive. For theta, we have an option to use another alphabet, that is omega, which is used conventionally. So we say that Z is equal to R e raised to j omega. Z is equal to R e raised to j omega. It is polar form of representation. In this case, R can take any value. So R is having an infinite range. R is having an infinite range. What is the range of omega? 0 to 2 pi. Because beyond that, what is going to happen? It again comes to same point. So omega is repetitive. So its meaningful range is any interval of 2 pi. You can say minus pi to pi, that way it's immaterial. So any interval of 2 pi is considered to be a meaningful interval of omega. So using this, you can represent any point in the entire display. You can represent any point in the entire display. Now, what computing that transform on unit circle, that is R is equal to 1, is called as discrete time Fourier transform. It is called as discrete time Fourier transform. It is, I again repeat, I will just recap. We had started with a concept of a sequence, x of n for as a function of n, where n is an index, which is an integer, starts from 0 on either side. It can be finite, it can be infinite sequence, which we transformed into xz. Means xz as a function of z. Xz as a function of z. Now, what we want? We want h of omega as a function of e raised to j omega. H omega, there are two ways. H of e raised to j omega, somebody says, or we can say h of omega also is a function of e raised to j omega. Why? Because I am computing, what we can say, computation of xz at mod z equal to 1 means r equal to 1. That's all. If z is represented as r e raised to j omega, then taking r to be equal to 1, this can be said to be x of omega, or some people say it is x of e raised to j omega. But there is no much difference, because if it is x of e raised to j omega, it is some function. If it is x of omega, then it will be a function of a function itself. So it both are valid in their nomenclature. This is called as discrete time Fourier transform. So let us compute what would be discrete time Fourier transform for Q sequences. Let us say for time being, compute, we will use the same nomenclature which is used in the book of Oppenheim and Bilski. To maintain uniformity of symbols, we shall use the same capital omega which has been used. So, we just make some small correction. Z is equal to R e raised to J R e raised to J omega. And if we compute Z transform, what we are doing? Z transform is a function of Z. Now, Z was an independent variable. It is having a complete mobility anywhere on the plane. Z is an independent variable and xz is its function. Z is having complete mobility over the entire plane. Now, I want its special case, I want to restrict the mobility of Z, and I want to restrict the mobility of Z in such a manner on this. for omega equal to 0 till omega equal to 2 pi, I want to restrict the mobility of Z and I want to calculate the x of Z as a function of only that Z which happens to be on the unit circle. So this can be said to be a function of x of omega. This can be said to be a function of x of omega. Means x of omega is nothing but computed x of Z at r equal to 1, or we can say mod Z equal to 1. The function x of Z computed at mod Z equal to 1 is x of omega. Means now what is the independent variable? Now there is a single independent. When we were having Z transform, there are actually, because Z being a two-dimensional, it's an ordered pair. So there was having 2 degrees of freedom. Whereas now, when I restrict it with r equal, means either it was having x and y or r and omega. So now I have restricted r to be equal to 1. So I only have 1 degree of freedom. So x of omega as a function of omega. Right? So I can compute. Now I can plot omega and x of omega. How the plot will look like? Omega will be there, one axis, and x of omega is two-dimensional. So there would be some, means for given omega, x of omega can't put on an axis, so that will be plane. So x of, for given omega, this point will be there. As I move, the point may move in any manner. So you should imagine what kind of contour it would be. Omega is x-axis, omega is in this direction, and x of omega is a point on yz plane. This is x-axis. This is x-axis, this may be y-axis, and this may be z-axis. X-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. So omega lies on x-axis, and x of omega lies anywhere in yz plane. So for every omega, there would be one x of omega, which will lie on yz plane. So you can think of a contour. And only thing is that it is only valid for omega equal to 2 pi. Right? Omega from 0 to 2 pi. That's all. Because again, if you repeat, it will be the same case of 0 onwards. Right? So, for omega equal to 0 to 2 pi, it is a finite omega axis. It's a finite omega axis, and you will get a specific function. So, I hope that you will think of this kind of graph for x of omega. With this, we can solve few sequences, and there, what is we call as discrete time Fourier transform. So, first you write what is the formula for x of omega. You try to derive. I have explained sufficiently. With this, you must be in a position to define x of omega. You must be in a position to define x of omega. Remember, there may be situations where x of omega cannot be computed. There may be some situations. Compute. Write the formula for computing x of omega. Computed now, it's simple. It is xz at mod z equal to 1. What is z? Z is r, I think xz is equal to summation n equal to minus infinity to infinity x of n z raised to minus n, right? So Z I am representing with R e raised to j omega form. So that is n equal to minus infinity to infinity x of n R e raised to j omega. Now Z x of omega is equal to xz computed at r equal to 1, that is mod z equal to 1 is what? Is equal to n equal to minus infinity to infinity x of n, this will go, right? So e raised to minus j omega n, that's all. So the formula for what we call to be a discrete time Fourier transform or computing that transform on unit circle is x of omega is equal to summation n equal to minus infinity to infinity x of n e raised to minus j omega n, e raised to minus j omega n. Is it clear now? So we can compute, given the formula, computing is a job of high school student. But at the same time, before introduction of this particular transform, I would also like to have an alternative remedy for it. That we may not be that much comfortable with the concept of e raised to j omega n. Even though I am trying my level best. So, are you doing the recorded lecture so as to create a proper background? So, despite my every attempt to simplify the things, the enthusiasm with which you are looking at the things is not allowing you to understand the concepts to a great detail. Therefore, I will also try to see to it that it is an inhibition, indicating that we are having a phobia about the concept of e raised to j omega n. Therefore, since as an autonomous system every care is being taken, every opportunity is being provided for the student to pass, similarly, we shall provide every opportunity for the student to understand. And despite that, if he is not willing to, then nobody can help. So this can be alternatively represented as, this I can write as x of omega is equal to summation n equal to minus infinity to infinity x of n cos omega n minus j sin omega n. So I can say r omega I am just using so as to keep the identity of real and imaginary, otherwise there is no significance. So there is no difference in real and imaginary. So r omega is, this I can say, a real part and imaginary part. So xn cos omega n and minus j xn into minus j xn sin omega n. So xr of omega is equal to n equal to minus infinity to infinity xn cos omega n, and xi of omega is equal to minus, j doesn't come there, j doesn't come, minus into bracket n equal to minus infinity to infinity x of n sin of omega n, or even there is no need to indicate a minus also. There is no need to indicate, wherein I can say that xi of omega, wherein I can prepare x of omega as xr omega minus j I omega, or you can use take minus k, it will help. So I can say xr